Joanie Marx, author, baby boomer advocate, and a Hollywood favorite.
You are listening to the most original talk radio station anywhere. We are LA Talk Radio at latalkradio.com.
You're listening to Second Act Boomers with Paula G. Right here on LA Talk Radio.
This is Paula G for Second Act Boomers, formerly known as Don't Get Left in the Dust, here on LA Talk Radio. We are still, the mission is still turning passions into a successful life and career. I haven't changed the mission of the show. I've just recreated and streamlined it a little bit. And if you are creative, you know it's an ever-evolving process. So Second Act Boomers is now what we are called, turning passions into a successful life and career. We are a digital resource center, and I just wanted to say a little intro before we get into the show. Baby boomers, like myself, are in the second half of our life, called the second act. That's what I call it. And it's in other things that I have read. And they're fulfilling their life dreams by reinventing themselves or tweaking their careers. You have to do this now with our digital technology and how the economy is changing. Just like the Industrial Revolution changed the human society, our information age changed from the industrial and now this digital technology. And they're doing this changing experience by becoming successful entrepreneurs. And next week I'm going to talk a little bit about, real quickly before the show starts, what is an entrepreneur. There's a lot of diverse definitions for it. The show provides in-depth interviews, just like we had before, resources, encouragement, listeners to pursue their dreams. Now, although the prime mission of the show I have is for baby boomers, and I want to create and help have an outstanding second act, the program is open to all new entrepreneurs, and we welcome any listener to network and connect with us, especially with the young generation, because baby boomers like myself, with the new digital technology, it offers a great opportunity, but baby boomers are still a little bit apprehensive. They feel they're behind. They have anxiety over it. They don't like to be as wired in, and I've had a lot of conversations on that. I need the young generation to bring your parents to the light and the digital technology. So this is open to all entrepreneurs. We are in a changing world, and it offers enormous opportunity. People are reinventing themselves. They're inventing themselves. They're creating, and it's a new, interesting, I think, renaissance period. And that's why I open it to having a digital resource center as well as a community, and that's what we're doing here. Follow us on Twitter at Second Act Boomer, and also like us on Facebook. You can check out the podcasts of this show and other shows on iTunes. Our guests today, I'm excited today, they're aligned with what the show is about, is Joanie Marx of McGranny. Drive through and make it your own, and that fits it. And then our second guest, our guest in the half after the break, is Chris Jackson. Now, he's the founder of TurnScore, and he has created a software to help manage your credit rating, and that's very, very important. You'll be surprised on some things on how you can turn your low credit rating high and then help your financial situation. We're going to talk about that in the second half. They are also a very proud sponsor of Second Act Boomer, and I'm very proud to be affiliated with them. Joanie, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you so much. This is just fabulous.
And Joanie, for our guests out there, this does go beyond. It will go beyond on podcasts beyond California, Los Angeles County. Joanie lives in beautiful Santa Barbara, California, and she trekked all the way down here, and I thank you for that. Before we get into the discussion, Joanie, I just want to give a little bio of you because this is so much fun.
Thank you.
Joanie is an accomplished character actor on stage, film, and television. She is known for her boundless creativity and consistency in delivering riveting performances that audience can relate to and inspired by. Joanie's creative brilliance has spanned the world of entertainment and business. As a full-time professional actor and a founder of successful multi-million-dollar company, she's determined, this is her mission, and inspired to change the image of media and society as of boomers, baby boomers. Joanie graduated from the University of California, Berkeley with a degree in psychology. She's also the author of an upcoming book, Facelifts, Money, and Prince Charming Breaking Baby Boomer Dating Myths.
Yes.
I love that. I love that. That is so good. Is that out? Is that book out now, or is it coming out?
It's coming out shortly.
Well,
in a
you'll
couple
have
of
to
months.
you will have to let us know and then come on the show and talk about that, because there's so many on your site. It's Joanie Marks' site, because she's definitely aligned with what the show is about in helping boomers in the second act and reinventing ourselves and creating ourselves. She has a lot of great subjects that I like to cover, so definitely want to do that. Now, your motto on your site is you're the voice of baby boomers. What do you mean by that?
I mean that baby boomers are alive, we're enthusiastic, we're not old, we're not decrepit, and we're not obsolete. And the reason I came about this is I'm an actress. And after a while, not that long ago, I noticed that my phone wasn't ringing. I was not getting any auditions. And I talked to my other fellow actors and actresses of my age, and lo and behold, they were sitting there with no auditions either. So if you go online and you look up roles that are open, I was noticing that all of them said they wanted someone who was frail and dying.
If you're over a certain age, it's like that hasn't changed in 50, 60 years, though, Joanie. They did that years ago.
I know it. And so I thought, okay, well, this will be great when I'm old and frail and dying, but I'm not.
You're not even close to that.
No.
I know.
So I thought, this is the problem. It isn't so much that my agents are getting me out, and I did a few iterations of changing agents, and I realized that was a little bit like rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic. The situation did not change. So I decided the situation was there just aren't a lot of jobs. And the reason there aren't a lot of jobs is that, especially in the world of commercials, advertisers didn't see us as young, viable, healthy people out there with money to spend, and that we were the audience they should be targeting. So that led me to deciding I should write my own commercial. And so I did, and I created my character, and her name is McGranny. And so it's a fast food commercials, as 3 of them, spec commercials, and it's called the McGranny Secret. So you have to watch the commercials to get the secret. But I copyrighted the commercials, and I trademarked the slogan, which is drive through, make it your own, which is really about how you take your situation, which for me at the time has been that there weren't jobs, and turn that around. So I'm in the process of saying, baby boomers, we are the prime market, and that people should look to us as the customer with all the money. And this is really amazing, Paula, that baby boomers are the largest financially influential group in the entire world. And that's because baby boomers have $2.3 trillion, trillion dollars of disposable income to spend on the people and the products that they love.
Why do you think, Joanie, the advertisers, I mean, these are stats. This is nothing new.
That's right.
I mean, there's boomer stuff all over. It's known we're the largest percentage of the population, and we have the largest revenue base, really. Whether you're in the financial market, I've listened to financial advisors, and they talk about they're targeting baby boomers because of the disposable income. Why is it that advertisers aren't targeting baby boomers the way you're suggesting? Don't they have the same stats that every other industry has?
I think that the baby boomers have always been the group that had the most attention upon them, as young kids, as adult, as grown up. Mm-hmm. But I think now what's happened is that the people who are writing these commercials, the commercial world, thinks that somebody who is a baby boomer, which would be basically someone who's 55 and older, isn't sexy. isn't sexy, and commercials need to be flashy and sexy. So that's all part of my book that I'm doing. Facelifts, Money, and Prince Charming. People that are baby boomers are sexy. Confidence is sexy. Having a sense of history, having a sense of knowing who you are, that's very sexy. So we have to have the commercials. First of all, the focus of the commercials have to not be on frail and dying roles. That's one. And the second thing is it needs to be around how people really live and how active this group is. And so that the advertising world is operating under what our parents and our grandparents thought of themselves.
When they were at that age.
And we don't.
No, we don't. But do you think also maybe the people who are in charge of the advertising, the CEOs, are younger too?
I think they're younger, and so they see anybody who's 55 and older is
the way
old.
we did.
Yeah. Duh.
We are now, when I said the second act, we are now the older generation. But and it's funny when I have conversations with fellow baby boomers, we just don't feel that way.
No, we don't.
Or we say, 1980s, or we go back to our high school and we say, my God, that's 40 years ago, or my high school reunion is 30 years ago, or 40 years ago, and I say, well, yeah, that sounds a little obscene to me. It just doesn't feel that way. And I agree with you. You looked at pictures of our parents at our age, or even our grandparents. We don't look that way. We're not going to be doing that, retiring, and maybe some of us can't in our second act because toward a retirement financially due to the changing, and have to reinvent and now also work until they're in their 70s. But I don't think even if we were financially secure the way we hoped, we still would be doing stuff.
Well, that's true, because it used to be thought of, people were like early bloomers, and we all know what that means. Mm-hmm. Those are the cheerleaders, and everybody was popular in high school, and then you go to a reunion, a decade later, and it's like, oops, and then, 20 years later, it's like, really, oops. Okay, so that's an early bloomer. A late bloomer would be like someone who maybe gets their act together, so to speak, in their 30s. I went to a reunion, and one of the fellows there said that he had a PhD in plant pathology, and I couldn't believe it. I thought he was such a jerk in high school. And I actually went and looked it up, and it was true. So that's an example of a late bloomer. But I think what we're trying to do as baby boomers is be perennial bloomers, so that the concept that you are constantly evolving is the norm, not the exception. Mm-hmm. And so that your sense of self, your sense of your own sexuality, your sense of your own spot in the universe shifts, but the importance of who you are is not diminished by your age.
I think also not just that we would do this, but because of the times, as we come into our second act, as I said, with the changing the show's name, our second half is the economy in the world has changed. The technology has changed to where you have to adapt a lot faster.
Incredibly faster.
And a lot of baby boomers, when I call the show Don't Get Left in the Dust, a lot of us felt like we were behind compared to the younger generation that was so wired in to the new technology. They just knew it by second nature.
But they're wired into the technology, but they don't have the life experience.
No, but that's something that doesn't seem to be attractive, or at least from my understanding with the corporate world too, and I've talked about this before. I used to think life experience meant something when I was younger. That always meant something, but it seems from a business sense, unless I'm wrong, they're not seeing life experience as an important element.
Well, that's why it comes down to being an entrepreneur and the economics. When they see that they put a commercial on which is well situated and is accurately purports who baby boomers are, mm-hmm. and then there are more people who then buy the product. So it's a matter of using your money. as a consumer to encourage people to appreciate you. If you're spending your money, you ought to be appreciated. So that if someone takes a chance, let's say like a fast food chain, like a McDonald's, takes a chance on my McGranny secret, and they see how many seniors are already always in their restaurant.
Yes, because it's inexpensive for them.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're on a fixed budget, a lot of them maybe, McDonald's is definitely a place to go.
Right, and they see all the ramifications of the McGranny secret, and that turns into revenue, and that turns into more publicity, that the chain is more sensitive to the whole community in which the franchise is sitting in. Then money talks.
Well, it always does. What I was going to ask you what McGranny's secret is, but are you going to keep that a secret?
Well,
because you have McGranny's secret for how to reinvent your life,
yes,
and transform it each and every experience by making it your own, which is aligned with what the mission of the show is, considering the changes that baby boomers are having in the second half of their life.
Well, I'd like to tell you a story. I think this will illustrate it. I know a lot of celebrities, and I've worked with a lot of them. But there was one celebrity that I absolutely wanted to meet. It was like the only person I've ever said, I just have to meet this person. Well, actually, it turns out it's not a person. This was, if you remember, Zenyatta, the racehorse, the filly. Huge horse. She won 19 races when I met her, 19 straight. And she's just a force of nature. And she was very, very famous, especially out here. And she also became the horse of the year. I said, I have to meet this horse. So I go to her. It was a whole rigmarole to find people. So I get to go, and I go to her barn, and I meet her. And first of all, she's huge. She's like 17 two hands. And she is like a force of nature. She's a magnificent living being. So I look up into her face, and I said, Zenyatta, I have always wanted to meet you. She looked down at me. I got her attention. She looked down at me. And I said, the reason I want to meet you is I am an actress. And I said, let me tell you, I would psych myself out long before I ever booked 19 jobs in a row. I would be a basket case. I couldn't do it. How do you do it? That was my burning question I wanted to ask her. So she looks down at me with a little bit of bemused disdain, as in, what is it with these human beings? They make everything so complicated and so hard. And I tell you, honest to God, Paula, as I'm looking at you across the stage, she said to me, why? This is who I am, and this is what I do. I went, whoa, this is important stuff. So every time now I get stuck, I say, this is who I am, and this is what I do. So one of the suggestions I have is for everybody, to kind of take a moment to think about who are you and what do you want.
That's always, it seems like a duh question, but you'd be surprised when I've asked people my age, and they're still trying to figure out in their 50s what they want to do when they grow up. Yeah. That's still a question after all this time. And I try to ask them, I said, what is it you want to do?
Well,
who do you want? Yeah. And I think a lot of it is still a feeling of insecurity, a lack of confidence that I've noticed, thinking that who they are isn't good enough, that they're frauds. What would you recommend? Because some of them are still struggling. Do you think that's the reason why they can't answer that question to themselves?
Well, I think part of that is the reason, but I think the way to find out who you really are is to think back when you were a small child. What were you the most interested in? Now, I have a friend. I'm very lucky to have, this is my very first little friend from kindergarten, Linda. And we kind of reconnected a few years back. And she said to me, Joan, don't you remember you told me when you were 5 that you were going to be an actress? I went, I did? She said, well, yeah, with great certainty. That's what you were going to be. And then all these other things intervened. So I think that your gut instincts come out are in you as a child, and then a lot of things get pushed down.
Mm-hmm.
I want to, if I might, I'd like to just read this to you, because this really fits exactly what we're talking about. Because I wish that people would look into the mirror of their soul, and I want them to see back, smiling, their true, imperfect, yet lovable self, saying, I want to be valuable, I want to be appreciated, I want to play and laugh, I want to be loved, I want to love back, I want to enjoy being me. And the main point they have to say to themselves is, I came into this world to be myself. For that, I came.
That's great. It's beautiful. And I agree with it 100%. I agree with you that we lose as we're children. There's much more creativity, and then you get beat up.
Yes.
And then you suppress, because that's what's happened to me. Going back a little bit in my life, the last 30 years, I've had conversations, and you start doing a self-evaluation, like you were saying, as to what, God, I should have done this, to turn this corner, and you accept what you did, but then you go back and, gee, and again, search what made me, what created the passion inside of me. That's another thing that's come up, where people don't have that passion, and you lose that passion, then you lose the love of life, I think. At least that's how I feel.
Well, for actors, one of the things that I know for a fact is that most actors are that way because as children they weren't able to express themselves. They were not able to express their true selves.
So the acting became a way to do that.
Well, then they get to say things, but, the words. But Anthony Hopkins said the best thing. He said, all actors are damaged goods.
That's I've never heard that.
He said that. He said that. But because in order to be able to play some parts, you have to really connect to those hurt feelings, those things that make you cry, things that make you angry, things that make you happy. And as an actor, I know that I can play the part if in my closet, in some various combination of clothes, I can put together what I think the actor would wear, the costume, which it reflects then what are the components of myself. Mm-hmm. There are certain roles, like I don't think I could be a motorcycle mama. I don't have any of the gear, but I could do.
That's not you though.
It's not.
Well, an actor's supposed to play anything they can.
But I think you would see that there are these components, and so for someone who is listening to us, dear listener, in you, think about all the times when you were a child and you had great enthusiasm. There are no such thing as children that don't have passion. So you have to go back and undo these layers of criticism, these layers of having to be perfect, these layers of not being good enough. And so you don't want to try some because you're not good enough. Mm-hmm. So you have to get rid of all that and get down to the essence of who you really are. What brings joy to you? What makes you laugh? Spend some time with your pet. Or if you don't have a pet, look at other animals, and you'll see they're really into themselves. I mean, they are truly themselves, and they don't edit everything.
No, they don't, and they don't judge.
Yeah.
You know, they don't. They wag their tail for anybody. I had this conversation with someone. I said it's interesting that the human being's best friend is a four-legged canine that has a 3-year-old brain, but the one thing they have that some reason humans don't have is they don't care they accept you for who you are.
Yes, and we are always trying to make things the way we want them
Right.
to turn out.
Well, it's like taking we don't accept square pegs. We're going to take that square peg and pound you into that round hole. Well, I'm a square peg. There's nothing wrong with me if I'm a square peg.
Right. So you have to say, this is who I am,
yeah.
and this is what I do.
Right.
And I came into this world to be myself.
Yes.
For that I came.
Now, is your book that you're going to be coming up, does that reach into that?
Well, what it talks about is, so the title is Facelifts, Money, and Prince Charming, Breaking Baby Boomer Dating Myths. And the way the title came about is I was having lunch with several women my own age, including my sorority sister, who I always looked up to as thinking that she totally had it all. Well, she's in a situation now where she is single. And she was lamenting how she was never going to meet anybody because, you know, she didn't have a face look and she didn't really have enough money, and so she wasn't going to be somebody's arm candy. And I went, no, how could you say that? So the point being is you need to come from a point of view of abundance, that what you need in the world there is an abundance of, not coming from a sense of scarcity. And also the point of view that unless you get out in the world, Prince Charming or Princess Charming is not going to know how to go to your house, drive up your driveway, and knock on your door.
That's true. They expect them to do that.
Yes.
Parachute in and knock, here I am, knock on the door.
Right,
yes,
right.
that's
And
true.
somehow he's going to know how to do that. So this whole book is about, in essence, you must be your own Prince Charming. So that all the things that you are looking for in another person, you have them within yourself, so that you have something to give, and you have a sense of your own place in the world, your own sense of importance, and that you have love and joy to give to someone else. And if you come from a point of view of scarcity where there just aren't enough men and you're not good looking enough and all of these things like that, you're so brittle and you're so tied up with, oh, this isn't who I thought he was going to be, that you never give anybody a chance. So the book is talking about a wide range of situations and a little bit about how to use some acting skills, incorporate them in your daily life so that you give someone else an opportunity. If I have 1 second, I was going to say the reason that people, I think, are so enamored with talking to celebrities is because celebrities know how to be a good listener. And when you have their attention, they give it undividedly.
Interesting.
And they focus only on you.
Huh.
And they are in that moment with you.
Uh-huh.
Not ahead of you, not behind you, but in that moment. And that's what is so charismatic.
Joanie, we're almost out of time. The last couple minutes, and I want to invite you back because there's so much great information with your philosophy and what you're doing. I want to have you come back because there's a lot of interesting subject about baby boomers and the media and what your mission is to change that image of media. I want to go further into it. But I want you, the last couple of minutes here, what is it that you want to accomplish, I mean, in the long run to help baby boomers? Not just changing the media. With your book, with the acting, with some of the, I go into your website. What is it that you want to go beyond?
I want everyone, especially who's in their second act, life is not forever, and these need to be our best years, and they can be our best years. And maybe just by knowing that something isn't going to go on forever gives you the impetus to rearrange your life and put in the elements that you want to make yourself a happy, healthy, fulfilled, and contributing member of society.
Joanie, thank you so much for coming on the show. It's inspiration, had a lot of fun, and we will go further into this because I think it's so important. It isn't just with the information I'm providing for everyone out there. There's the practical side when we have to change and adapt, and we're also constantly reinventing, but it's also emotional and a mindset that you have to do, and you have to move forward, like you said. You have to have the feeling good about yourself inside and to be happy. So thank you so much. Come back again. For everyone out there, this is Second Boomer Act. It used to be we were Don't Get Left in the Dust, so no, you are not on the wrong time and the wrong day. So stay with us. When we come back, we're going to be talking to Mr. Chris Jackson. He is the founder of TurnScore. Now, TurnScore is this is a credit management software to help you, and they are a proud sponsor of Second Act Boomer. And as I said earlier in the show, I am proud to be affiliate. It's to help with your credit score and help you get financially back on your feet if you have your credit score at too low. So hang in there. We'll be back in a few. He'll be calling in from Minnesota. Stay tuned.
You're listening to Second Act Boomers with Paula G. Right here on LA Talk Radio.
Joanie Marx, author, baby boomer advocate, and a Hollywood favorite.